It's really weird when you see something like that when you pay attention to the numbers. So, just interesting. Anyhow, so with that said, yeah, it was weird. It was fun. I'm tired though. I'd have to say I'm not exactly, yesterday I was like, oh, please. just
make
it to bed.
Exactly.
And then like an idiot, I went and I live streamed off of Twitch and ran like 2 hours of laps at Laguna Seca in the Porsche.
Nice.
Yeah. Fun times.
Nice.
All right. Well, there we go. So we didn't discuss who's going with what. So what do you want to go with next?
Well, go ahead and you do VDub. I'll talk about the next one.
Oh boy. VDub. Okay, so I'm a big VDub fan. Everybody knows that, right?
Yep.
Everybody knows I'm a VDub. Difference is that it's very interesting when you see VDub take after the properties of maybe another manufacturer that you or that you like. And that would especially come down to what VW is doing in the electric category that one could compare to, say, Tesla. And interestingly enough, as we've moved forward with that discussion, Volkswagen reveals plans for a new flagship EV. And as part of they have a new program that they're going to launch here, which is basically called the Accelerate program. This is their initiative to be electric, or at least have half of the models they offer in America be electric by 2030. Which is pretty ambitious, because right now the only thing that I know of that Volkswagen has in their semblance of electric vehicles is the ID4. It's brand new. The first ones are hitting, all the dealerships and so on and so forth. Now the thing is that they're talking automatically that their first foray also into this new EV realm that they want by 2026, not including the ID, which is going after the more common ground of EVs, is going to be a bespoke vehicle. Which raises my eyebrow, because if you actually watched our old episodes on the Audi e-tron GT and the Porsche Taycan, I'm kind of concerned with the fact that they're just going to produce another one on the same, same window line, same frame, same everything, and just dump it out there to make it, cool. And I'm wondering if they're going to do that. However, if you're going to talk about being flattered by the same extent, and I do mean flattered, because at this point Tesla should be absolutely flattered, right? And because if you're a Tesla fan or a Tesla owner like Corey, then you know that there's battery day. Okay?
Right.
And interestingly enough, as we're following that, guess what? Power Day is now coming to VW. And I'm like, look, if you can't get the window line straight on an e-tron compared to a Taycan, and you're just going to do something as simple as just keep copying Tesla, why don't you just stop sweating Tesla and do your own thing? Because we get it. Tesla's cool. But it worked for Tesla. It works for Musk. I'm not really sure if it's going to work for VW. I'm just not sure. I mean, sure, I want the e-bus, right? The e-bus would be cool. There's stuff out there that would be nice.
There's some cool concepts,
Okay, and admittedly, until we see what's going to be solid-state battery technology, which has a much farther impact on what I'm going to say is going to be the EVs that people might be buying in the next 5 years, is it necessary? And let me ask you something, Corey. As a Tesla owner, are you insulted or enamored by something like this?
I mean, since I'm already a Tesla owner, I'm happy with our purchase. But and I know VW has had a bit of trouble with like Dieselgate and whatnot, right? So
sure.
The fact that they want to do a more electric stuff is probably good for their long-term, their long-term goal.
Yes.
So I don't really mind. I mean, whatever, honestly. I mean, Tesla's going to do its own thing anyway, because that's what they do. And if other people want to do it, and it makes more EVs out there, giving more people more options, and they're not just copies. They're like, they're good products, but they're their own spin on things. Then cool, whatever, And yeah, EBY says e-dune buggy for the win.
Sure, and I agree with that.
That would be pretty sweet.
But look, Meyer. I'll get something to say about Myers Mannix in a minute. But go ahead.
Yeah, but and again, one thing you mentioned, you kind of talked about Power Day. Power Day is set to be the 15th of March, and while we don't really know exactly what's going to be in there yet, they put out just a 10-second thing on YouTube to advertise it.
We could play it.
And it literally just says, "This is not a car. This is not about a car.
It's not about a car." That's what they're basically telling you.
So whether they're trolling us and it is about a car, or it's not about a car and it's about battery stuff, then that's cool. For me, honestly, I'd be more excited if it's like about a battery. If it's about batteries, and it's possibly about solid state batteries, then it's cool because the car, cars are cool, electronic cars are cool, but as you said, they're not particularly shown that they can do something new.
Right.
But again, if we go down on this article here, one thing guys might notice is, or maybe you don't know or whatnot, but one clue, VW collaborated with a company called QuantumScape. It's California-based battery developer, and QuantumScape was working on solid-state batteries. So that's pretty cool. Again, like I said, and Mike teased that as well. Solid-state batteries are set to, when they are something that can be brought to market on a scale
Game
that can
changer.
be used in cars, then they will change stuff for sure.
Well, hell,
In
forget about
terms of how
cars.
fast they can charge and how dangerous they're, or rather they're not, because they're designed differently.
Yeah, forget about cars though. Look at what could happen to the air taxi market as well if solid state batteries make it into charge. I mean, you're talking about way different things. You're talking about that might even change APU power on airplanes. That might change
anything where batteries go
is
anything
ridiculous.
where batteries go would be upended by solid state batteries.
Absolutely,
that could actually be implemented.
But I want to say something about
that's kind of what I'm saying. The VDEV thing. If it's a car, cool. But if it's purely about batteries that are gonna push the market, awesome.
Sure. And what EB said, dune buggy, for the win. Now here's the funniest thing: the dune buggy was a VW underneath, but it is actually a Myers-Mannix dune buggy. He just passed away. He sold the company and the rights to the company to another gentleman. And we were actually going to do something about Myers-Mannix in the not too distant future, because I shared it with Corey about 2 weeks ago. I guess it was about a month and a half ago. He sold the company and then he passed away almost within 2 weeks because his health had deteriorated. But it's interesting because that brings to mind something completely different, which is that was the body on shell game that people used to play with Volkswagens, where it was basically a donor for something in the future. And if you're looking at what VW is doing now, they're not playing the donor game. They're playing the copycat game, right?
Yeah.
So they're kind of using the same formula for what they're doing with their upscale EVs. But here's the other really strange thing to me. If you're going to go with this process of the Accelerate program and use Trinity as your basic ideology behind how you're going to grow your platform, then why wouldn't you give a bespoke EV to Audi or Porsche? Like, what?
I mean, the only thing I can think of when you first say that, what comes to mind is who they might be marketing, or what category they might be marketing the car to, right? If you think of the average like upscaled Audi price EV versus what a Volkswagen entry level, and I'm saying entry level EV, right? Not entry level car, but entry level EV, then I would foresee those prices would be different. And if they think that, if VW is saying, okay, let's try, and I'm just speculating here, right? But let's just say if the Volkswagen is saying, oh, let's go in at a lower price car and try to sell more of them. Okay, sure. I know Tesla didn't do that in the beginning. Tesla went all up end, the Model S and the high end cars that really were expensive, like over 6 digits. And that gave them some capital to move on to the Model 3. And then obviously that moved on to everything else.
Well, it was the Roadster, though, that got them their start, which was ultimately the most bespoke Tesla of all time, which I understand.
Well, it was that was based on a Lotus Elise body.
Which is,
so it also had some borrowings, but
which is just like a Mannix TT, right?
It was upper end, though. Upper end stuff.
But that's like the comparison to the Mannix TT is that, it took a Lotus Elise body and they shoved electrics inside of it and they pulled the same thing. But the thing is that when I think about, and maybe this is just my misunderstanding of when I think of bespoke, right? When I think of bespoke, I think of what it kind of means. It's custom, right? It's almost like, it feels like it's one off, that it's going to be very special. And people have been very, very uppity on the fact that, if that's what you're going to choose to do, but VW is the brand that is purchased the most out of the Audi Porsche VW group, right? Obviously, it does speak to the consumer that's going to buy the one, not top shelf, mid shelf, bottom shelf, but it's the average brand, right?
Right.
Obviously, and that's, or the people's car, if you want to talk about it that way, right? But however,
either way,
it's interesting to me to see how they're if their approach is to insert this vehicle from the VW line on the same lines as Tesla, then I think that they've chosen kind of the wrong group to do it with, and they might end up shooting themselves in the foot, and especially because you said something else about Dieselgate, right? It's like they pull VW out of racing. We know Audi's coming for a reinsert in racing. We know that VW put an electric car, or what was it, a hybrid car out there to break all the records on just about every track. Okay.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering what the end game is here, because it seems like they went really fast in one direction, and now they're like, well, let's make Volkswagen the flagship of our EV line, and we're just going to copycat the Taycan for Audi.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I certainly hear what you're saying, and but that would be. I mean, still needs to be seen. Yeah, what is Volkswagen's like
end game,
goal?
right? Yeah, sure.
And I mean, we'll get a hint, of course, in Power Day. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, that we do have another article too. It's still related. You know, we have Power Day, but then we also have the Volkswagen reveals the plan for the new flagship.
Yeah,
that's an article from March 1st, a little bit further back. But I mean, this picture on that article is supposedly from VW, and it's a profile. And gotta say, man,
it looks like a Tesla.
75% of the car looks like my car.
I know.
From the base of the windshield to the right, to the aft part of the car, that's my Model 3.
I get it.
The nose is slightly different.
I get it.
So
now look, they claim, everyone else out there is claiming, right, that this is actually more of a flow from the Arton, whatever it is, the other.
Okay.
Which is
I saw that. Yeah.
Which is their replacement to the Audi, not to the Audi CC, to the CC line, which was just the CC.
Yeah,
the concept coupe. That's what VW called it, the CC.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just interesting to me, because if you look at the ID4, it doesn't, like, I don't know how they're going to build that. It doesn't look anything like that. So I'm like, I wonder just how much they're going to push this down the road about Project Trinity. It's just going to be interesting, and
I don't know.
Maybe a tiny house buses. Huh? Tiny house bus? Oh, you mean
for the power or the batteries?
For the batteries, maybe. I don't know.
Or are they going full battery, and they're gonna go like Powerwall, like home?
I don't know.
Battery solution, power storage. Because they did say legit, this is not about a car. This is Power Day. So
Sure. Well,
I don't know.
Here's something interesting though as well. I want this car right here. This is the one that I want. I want the VW bus, the yellow bus. That one
that I'm waiting for it to update here.
Yeah,
You're talking about the
that's
the yellow concept bus?
Yep, that's what I want.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that was when was we first see that? It's been months now. That was a cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool concept.
It would be nice for them to finally produce it, because I could see myself getting into an electric GTI if they ever make one, right? But yeah. I would prefer, out of all things right now, though, I'd prefer to go to a Tesla truck. Cybertruck.
Oh, the Cybertruck. Which actually, I know that we're going to get off subject a little bit, but that's supposed to be produced this year.
Yes.
Supposedly he's going to, I mean, the rest is all Elon time, right? But we'll see.
But there's but now allegedly, right? Aren't we supposed to see the production version of that like coming up real soon?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I don't know. There was something about that I just saw, but I don't know what the date was.
No. It's coming up, bro. I thought. All right. Anyhow, so we're gonna finish this one up and say, hey, folks, remember, if you get a chance, like, subscribe, follow. We're just gonna continue the conversation, because it actually fits in very, very well. These solid state batteries, the new things that are coming out to marketplace, and emerging technologies. It's really cool to see. And hey, you know what? There's a lot more excitement to come in that field. So with that said, I'm gonna pass the torch to Mr. Corey, and
sure.
He's got something that's really cool to talk about, and I do mean really cool.
Yep.